In this video, traders, we're going to look at why you need to believe in and understand your trading strategy. This is an important one. Stay tuned. Hey traders and investors, very warm welcome to you. Okay, so this is an interesting topic, right? It's a little bit unusual, but I promise you it's one of the things that, for me anyway, when I got my head around, made me move the needle in the direction I wanted to go. Okay, so why do you need to believe in and understand your trading strategy? What do I mean by that? So I mean, listen, when you have a trading strategy, there's a couple of ways of doing it. You either buy one, you either see one on the internet, you either watch a video with one, you come up with one yourself. There's a few ways that you come up with the strategy. Now, when you have that strategy, you may well be pulling the trigger just because someone tells you it's a profitable strategy. That is not conducive to long-term success, and let me tell you why. You need to really believe that that trading strategy is going to work for many of the reasons we'll run through in a second. I've got 7 reasons why you need to do that, because if you don't, you will not execute it, even if it is a profitable strategy. Even so, if somebody has generated a strategy, they've given it to you and said, there you go, there's a profitable strategy, off you go and trade it. If you don't believe it and you don't understand why it's a profitable strategy, you still won't make it work. Which is why we see a lot of people complaining and stuff, saying, hey, I've used this strategy, it's not working. And then the other side of the coin, people say, hey, I use this strategy, it's working very, very well for me. It's the same strategy, but something's going wrong somewhere. So let's see if we can nail down exactly why. All right, number 1. The confidence to pull the trigger. If you believe in the strategy and you know and you understand why it works, and what I mean by understand why it works, you say, hey, you know what, I take this because it's a breakout of momentum, I'm believing that the supply demand has shifted, and this filter shows me this trigger shows me this, etc., 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 or I believe I'm fading the level because of this and this is why, and you start to see and understand the reason why the strategy is likely to work. You never know if it's going to all the time, but you know that it's likely to work because of all these variables. So the confidence to pull the trigger. So when you see the filters are ticked, all the boxes are ticked, you've got your green flags, however you measure the strategy, then you get your trigger, you don't even think about it because you already believe that the strategy is good and you already understand why it's going to work for you. So you just pull the trigger. Whereas if you don't quite believe in your strategy, you don't think that it might work, and this you start doubting, that's when maybe not today, or maybe this, you start adding other variables in, you start making excuses for not taking it this time. And of course, that then completely invalidates the whole strategy. It completely invalidates it because you only have to miss a few of the good trades and it will completely change the strategy outcome. So confidence to pull the trigger, essential as we know, and so understanding and believing your trading strategy helps with that. Okay, number 2, happy to sit through trade drawdown. Now, obviously, I mean within your stop parameter. Very often we'll take a trade, it won't start working, it will start sitting, at our entry point or just below, and it will get a little frustration. You see, hey, it's just, it's right between my stop and my entry, right in that little annoying spot. And you'll want to just come out of the trade. Whereas in reality, you need to stick to the strategy, and this is normal behavior. As long as it doesn't stop you out, that's absolutely fine. That's the whole point of a stop. You're never ever going to get a strategy that gives you straight away green on the trade. It's nice when it does, and don't get me wrong, I like that myself. When we get a trade and it goes straight away in your favor, it feels very nice. But the real world is often you're going to get drawdown. Maybe it goes your way a bit, comes back, sits there. But the important thing is you're happy to sit through it because you still believe in the strategy. You're not going to come out and make it again and make another excuse from somewhere as to why you should exit the trade. Number 3. Accepting of a poor performance spell. So I mean this by multiple trades in a row that are losers, or just generally drawing down your equity. Now, I know that at some point you have to analyze that and say, hey, is this within the parameters I expect? But it's going to make you feel more comfortable. Like, hey, you know what? I still believe this strategy works. I still proven it works. I still understand why it works, the psychology behind the supply, demand, and the triggers and what have you. So I can accept this drawdown. I've got my risk managed as well because I know how much I'm going to trade on each specific setup. So I can deal with this, and I have a point where I actually stop and say, hey, maybe the market conditions have changed, but until that, I'm happy to still pull that trigger and accept this poor performance spell because I believe it's going to turn around and at some point it's going to do very, very well for me. All right, number 4. 4, patience to wait for your entry. Similar to this confidence to pulling the trigger, but slightly different. If you have a specific strategy, and really this works on, you understand why it works, i.e., let's say we faked out to a low, then we come back through a high, you're going to have patience to wait for that high to break because you know that that's exactly what you need after the low break to go long. And if you don't get that, there's no point pulling it early because you don't have the parameters needed. So it's the patience to wait for the exact criteria that you've set up in your trading strategy. And number 5, you know why you are risking money. So this comes down to, kind of go a bit deep here, but the psychology of risking money. If you don't know why you're risking money, then by the very nature of it, we want to hold on to it. We're like, well, why would I risk this 100? Why would I risk this 200, 2,000, whatever you're risking? Ouch, I don't think I should be. And you've got that internal conflict. Whereas if you believe in the strategy, you understand why it works, you know why you're risking that, your hard-earned money. You say, well, I'm risking it because this strategy is a good strategy. I believe in it. Boom, there we go, take the trade. If you don't believe in it, you have that internal conflict, and again, it becomes hard to execute the strategy as it's meant to be executed. All right, number 6, let's like to flip-flop between strategies. We've all been there and done that, I expect. We start on a strategy, we get a strategy, we trade it for a bit, doesn't really work straight away, so we do something else, and we end up just kind of drip feeding money away because we're just diving into strategies and we never get really good at one strategy. And of course, strategies can have drawdowns, still be very, very profitable throughout the year. We can execute them not quite right. So it gives you the confidence to stick with the strategy you know that works. And when improving that, instead of improving and saying, well, I'll discard that and go somewhere else, you start to add extra things into the strategy, take things away from it. So it's like a living thing that you're constantly evolving based on the market conditions. Okay, let me tweak my stop a little bit wider. Let me add an extra filter in here because I'm getting caught out on some of these trades. Let me go more aggressive on these types. So you start to really adapt to the market conditions with a base strategy rather than flip-flopping between strategies. All right, number 7, the last one for you guys, thinking in terms of probabilities. Talked about this many times before, thinking that, hey, this has got a high probability of success over the long term. That's why I'm taking it. I'm pulling the trigger because I believe in it. I know why it works or why it should work, and so I'm happy to risk my allocated risk for this strategy time and time again because I'm playing the game of probabilities. I know that over time this thing is going to work for me. So 7 things there, and I really think that you definitely need to believe and understand your trading strategy. Know why it's working, sort of dig into it, think about it. That's sometimes a little bit broad. You think, well, it is working because this is crossing this, but no, why? Why would somebody, a person programming an algo, if you want to think like that, or a group of people, take the action that you want them to take to make you profitable? And when you can think of it like that, and you can start to think, okay, well, actually, I know why, because they might be trapped short. I know why, because there's something changed with the catalyst. The catalyst has caused them to be involved in it. I know why. So you start to think that, you start to believe it, you start to trust it, then these things become easier, and you can start to grow that strategy into something that's pretty powerful and pretty useful for your trading. All right, guys, thumbs up if you like this kind of stuff. I appreciate your subscription if you've already subscribed. If you haven't yet, consider doing so. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.